Welcome to the Driven to Succeed Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Olson, and my guest today is Derek Eley from Mitchell Realty. Derek?
Hi, how's it going? I'm Derek Eley with Mitchell Realty, and yeah, I'm a realtor, local realtor.
Yes. Derek, you and I have been working together for the last couple of years now. We've done quite a few transactions together. I love how you work. I mean, you're very hands-on with your clients, and you're giving them all the pointers of buying a house, right, from start to finish.
Yeah, and that's main focus. Obviously, is the you're not getting passed off to big teams. They pass people off. You're not getting passed off. I'm very hands-on. Obviously, as business grows and stuff, that starts to change a little bit. Now I have a transaction coordinator that helps me make sure that we're meeting the deadlines and stuff, because once you get a certain amount of things on the plate, obviously you do need that assistance to help you guide the whole
absolutely,
transaction.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the busy work behind all of this, and this is where where both industries from mortgage and real estate gets convoluted, like for people, because they don't really understand like how much work is behind the entire process, and why does a realtor, sometimes they're like, why do they get paid too much, right? And it's like this is like, and you don't have any idea the between the marketing and this and that, the driving around and the hours that you put into it. That check that you're getting, there's a lot of it that's cut out of it.
Yes.
Besides taxes, right?
Yeah, and it's not only that. It's like, the people that say that, and it's like, but when the difficult things come up in a transaction, that's when you want that realtor that's been around, that has been there, been through similar stuff. I will tell you this. There's always something new that pops up in real estate, in transactions. We both know that. I mean, there's stuff always that you're like, what's going on? But it's like knowing that you have someone confident enough to move through there and get you through some of these difficult areas. That's where we earn our paychecks, right?
100%.
And that's but the main focus obviously is those clients and service them to the best possible.
Right. And you make friends with them. I mean, I've seen you do some TikTok videos with a couple of our clients in the past.
That client was actually very special to me.
All right.
Corto, shout out to you. But yeah, she was awesome. I wasn't tech savvy. I'm still not that tech savvy, right?
Right.
And I'm like, she was doing, one time we were doing a walkthrough, and she got on TikTok or Instagram. I think it was Instagram, and she was doing TikTok too. She does them both. And I was just like, you got to teach me how to do this. She said, give me your phone. And we just did it spot on. And then, at closing, I was like, all right, we're going to do one. And I led the one at closing where we were dancing around. And she spruced it up a little bit. But it's fun. The people you meet and the things you learn outside of real estate from clients is amazing, and that's what I love about this.
And this is why I like to having this podcast. I'm bringing professionals on from real estate to appraisers to a lot of industry experienced people. But spotlighting you as a person is what our main goal is, right?
Awesome.
So people can see who you are and understand. Like we see all these different companies like Open Door and these companies that come out like we can do this so much cheaper. Well, in the end, a lot of times it isn't so much cheaper, right? They end up spending all this money, and then it's the experiences that I've had with them is we miss closing dates because of the seller side having issues, and it's kind of a convoluted mess. The reason why I'm saying that is there's so much that goes behind this. So when people think that realtors get paid too much, and then we look at all of the breakdowns and then look at all of the alternatives. So to speak, or even for sale by owner, the average for sale by owner doesn't make as much money as what a realtor can make in market, right? So this is why, highlighting you, getting to know your personality, and, so people can see that, is really what I'm driving for with the podcast, right?
I love it.
So one of the first questions I always ask my clients is like, how did you get your start? Like, what drove you into real estate?
Well, long story short, I was a golf pro in Colorado. We've had conversations about this. Met my lovely wife there, and She's from Minnesota, so it moved us here to be around her family, to expand our family. I had one child at the time. But yeah, what really led me into it is I realized that the golf business here was a little bit different than what I experienced in Colorado. It wasn't year-round. Go frozen tundra.
Right.
So I realized that I needed to make some sort of shift, and I always was intrigued. I bought and sold 2 homes in Colorado. Unfortunately, one of them was my dad's estate that I was living at the time. And then, so I've always was intrigued by the real estate. I asked some questions to my realtor at the time then, but I always enjoyed looking on Zillow, right? Everyone goes on Zillow or Realtor.com. I always enjoyed looking at what houses are selling for, what they're priced at. So when we moved here, it was just kind of a natural transition that I was on there looking all the time. I was like doing handyman work because I found a golf job, but it paid like not even half of what I was making in Colorado. Oh, wow. And I was like, how am I going to support my family? So I started doing just oddball jobs, handyman service off next door and stuff, trim. I did a lot of carpentry work on my own, and then it expanded and met people. And I met Terry Spruck, shout out. Met her at her house doing some handyman work. She was a Coldwell Banker agent, and she got me on and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm thinking about getting my realtor license. And she kind of prompted me, go do it. Let's talk after you do it. And it led into this whole conversation with her, and we're best friends. She's my bestie in real estate. I always call her my older sister. We actually share the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
So there was a lot of correlations, and she owns a place like right where I grew up in Florida. So there's a lot of correlations with that.
Sure.
And it just evolved into this huge thing, and I'm like, man, I might as well start getting paid for stuff that I'm already kind of doing, right?
Right.
Boy, was I shocked to know there was a huge learning curve with being a realtor. I thought it was just like everyone, here's this, or sell my house.
Right.
Totally opposite. Behind the scenes, it's fun. It's an exciting journey, but I love the process, and that's what I dig now, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, and the good thing about that process too is that you were doing handyman work. So like you're going into, whether you're going to sell someone's house or you're going to, show a house, you can look for some of that stuff. You can see, you can pick that out, right? Yeah. Like, hey, this one, the owner did this all by themselves, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I tried to keep my work clean,
right?
So they didn't have that when someone walked in or when they did sell their house, So, yeah.
So, you live out west of the Twin Cities, right?
Yes, I live in Mayer, Minnesota. Woohoo! Town of 2,000.
Right. So you got kind of a little bit of a business out there, but your team you're on, Mitchell Realty team, that you're more localized in Robbinsdale here, so not that far away from our office right here in Maple Grove. Yeah. But you do kind of work all around the West Metro and in the cities, right?
Yeah, so I got into it, and I was never afraid to be, some people say stay local, and I do that, but I also was never afraid to be that traveling agent, right? It never bothered me driving and being on the road and the connections you make. It's like, well, why am I going to keep it within, a 10-mile radius or that? And I don't knock anybody for that. Obviously, I do know the markets. I've learned to adapt and know markets everywhere, because people I was coming across when I first got into business, they weren't in one area. It was like, hey, you're in real estate now. I have a friend or a family member that wants to sell in Maple Grove. So learning all the markets and training myself to learn those markets and really have a good grasp so I could give the best quality service to them.
Right.
I wasn't afraid to do that.
Right.
And I think that's what, and to this day, I'm still not afraid to do that. So
Yeah, well, in this business, we're learning every day, aren't we?
yes,
You have
every
to,
day is a
right?
learning
Like there's, and
experience.
especially specifically in mortgage, like their guidelines change all the time, and
Yeah.
new ones pop up because the market changes and things of that nature. Um, so like speaking of market, right now we're going through kind of a drastic shift from where we were multiple
Yeah.
offers on every deal, but now we're
Yeah.
we're getting into where we're definitely asking for inspections all the time.
Yeah.
We're asking for not gap appraisals. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to go way over. We can ask
Inspections are back.
Yep.
Inspections are
In
back.
some
I'm seeing
cases,
that.
we're able
Yep.
to get seller paid closing
Yep.
costs.
I'm seeing that.
And one of the things that what a lot of people, if they watch the news, there's like it's doom and gloom in a lot of different areas and so forth. But Dave Ramsey just came on the other day and it's like, listen, is it going to slow down? Yes. It's not going to appreciate. We couldn't sustain that,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
But there's going to be more homes on the market. It's going to be more of an even flow. But if you're looking specifically more of a first-time home buyer today, or a second, third home that they're going to live in for a while,
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even if, let's say, we get over the winter, it slows down because of a lot of different things, it's going to have a better selection, in my opinion.
Yes.
Right? You're going to
Yeah.
have way more buying power.
Yep.
Right? And getting out there. What do you see? Like, what have you been hearing? I think
What I've been seeing and hearing, so hearing, obviously, same thing you've been hearing. I have buyers that weren't able to obtain a house when it was crazy. I'm still in contact, obviously, with them. And now's not a bad time to buy, right? Because you don't have those other competing offers. A lot of cases, I got 2 or 3 under contract in the last month, and we didn't have the competing offers. We didn't have to go 40 or 50 grand over, which is
Right.
insane.
Right.
And I mean, you put those amounts of money on top of whatever percentage you're getting, that's bringing your monthly payment.
Right.
And, I don't know about you, but what I've seen is it's more affecting like the 400 and under mark on house prices, because, people are looking more at the monthly payment and that stuff. And when you're talking, in some cases, 2% difference from 6 months ago
Right.
on a monthly payment. I mean, you can do the numbers
Oh,
better
yeah.
than me, but I'm just guessing it's probably anywhere between $100 and $150 more a month.
Oh yeah, easily in some cases,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, it's a drastic shift. It definitely has put some buyers out that they're like, we want to see what's going to take place.
Yes.
So they're just holding off. And the one thing with buying the home is what that home value today is, what it's going to be in 5 and 10 years. I mean, I don't think you're going to have to worry about that. The interest rate from the mortgage side, with rates going up and how fast they went up and what they're probably going to do over the next 6 to 12 months, they're going to be even higher, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to affect those monthly mortgage payments even more. But if we have a little bit of a shift in slowing down that prices, we can mitigate that.
Yeah.
The other thing on the mortgage side, and I tell people this all the time, listen, we have plenty of different programs out there. There's 2-1 buy downs even, so you can get your mortgage payment. If we got opportunities for sellers to pay some closing costs, we can use that to do a 2-1 buy down, so we can start off with a 2% lower rate to begin with. Or we start doing
on.
that, and then just because we're moving into a higher interest rate environment, it doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever, right? And you don't buy a 30-year mortgage, and you're not typically going to stay in that mortgage. 99% of loans never go to term, so they get refinanced.
What is it? I think I looked it up, like 7 years. I don't even know if it's
7
homeowners
years,
or 7 years,
just
like average.
7 to 9 years
Yeah.
is kind of your range, right?
And I think you might add, when if we talk 2 years from now, you might add a year onto that because of what we're going through right
Right.
now, because of people with the low interest rates, right?
Right.
They don't want to move because they have that low interest rate, which
Sure.
I totally understand, right?
Right.
Especially if you're okay with what you're in the situation.
Yeah, but now there's been I don't know, I've just seen recently there's been a lot more people building on like mother-in-law suites.
Yeah.
And like having like these small tiny homes that
Yeah.
they do Airbnb
Yeah,
with, like
yeah.
and so forth. And it's like, well, that mitigates a lot of your costs,
Yeah.
right? They're totally separated, and
Yeah.
they have their own stuff they can work with. So
Yeah, so and then going back, like selling is not a bad time right now either, because you can still get, top dollar, but just know that you're not going to get the over asking. And on average, what I'm seeing in most of the cities around here is that houses that were going in a week, and obviously this is taking a collaboration of houses. There are some exceptions where houses maybe need a little bit more work and they were still sitting on the market
Sure.
a little longer. But on average, what we saw is they were going within a week,
Right.
6 months ago. And now what I'm seeing is most of the cities that I'm working in right now or have done deals in the last 3 months, they're all around 30,
right.
20 to 30 days. I mean,
Right.
and then if someone has seen the market or dabbed in the market, they're like, why is it taking so long to sell my house? What are you doing wrong?
Right.
And it's like, we're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
People are just more diligent. The buyers are, right?
There's-
They
there's-
know what they want because they're spending more money now monthly.
Right.
And they're trying to get everything that they want in the house where they don't feel the rush, the frenzy, because they're not having it.
Yeah, I came from the car business, and it was we always judged a Saturday on how we're gonna do by the amount of people that walked in the door in the first 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a frenzy. Well, you just said so. The more people actually that were sitting down at the desks, the busier we became, right? Because it's like, hey, they're buying a car, buying a car.
Yeah.
Like, I got to buy a car today, right?
They're doing it.
It's I don't know if it's the mindset or what, but that was usually the case. Where it's just like everybody starts just, and then of course it's like anything else, like sports. Like once you catch it, that salesperson's making some money, so now they're going, and like that next person they talk to, they're all excited, and it's infectious, right?
Yes.
So the same thing that you have, what you just talked about, is that it isn't as big of a frenzy now. There is more inventory, so people can be more selective, and so forth. So, but are they still selling? Yes. I mean
they are,
and that's not that's just what it is.
For
that's
sure.
What in going back, I mean, the last couple of years were an anomaly, right? I mean, that's too crazy. It is not sustainable, but it did drive all the prices up. So the values are where they're at, and I truly believe, we're still a long ways. If you look at population and what the market is going to be in the next 10 years, we still don't have enough homes, right?
Yeah.
So they have to build more, which is they're slowing down too. Just looking at the cost of supply chain issues. They have all of that they have to deal with as well.
Yeah.
Now switching topics here. So do you have a favorite? Do you have like a favorite story? And you don't have to call out any names or anybody like this, but like something that you've had to like overcome that that was like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna do this or.
Good question. Good questions. Boy, there's been a lot, right?
It's like, which one?
Yeah, exactly. Which one? So there's been a few, not to mention any names. There was one that, it was 2 days before closing, did not look like anything was moved out of the house. This is for one of my buyers. It's very nerve-wracking when you go into a house for a final walkthrough. We happen to do this one about, 24 hours in advance, but typically I try and do it the day of, or like the hour before closing, for these reasons. But I'm glad we did go in 24 hours in advance because it gave us a little bit more time after what we saw. And like, where are you going with this? What are you doing? Being proactive, talking with the listing agent and making sure, hey, where are we going? And luckily, I had a pretty good relationship because I always try to with the other brokerage or realtor that I'm working with, because it is, you got to have that and when you're working in a deal, because you have to have that communication, and that's what we build on. But going back to the story is there was nothing moved out. I mean, nothing, literally, and there was nothing boxed up. So they were paying for movers to come box everything up the day of.
Sure.
And I'm like, hey, you need to get them over there. You need to do that. And then we're going to come back over an hour prior to closing. But if it's not done, because it was a later close, and if
Sure.
it's not done, and this is, it's always on a Friday, right?
Oh,
For
right.
whatever reason, people pick Fridays to close on.
Right.
If I can do it, I'm picking a Wednesday
Or a Thursday,
yeah.
in case anything goes
so
wrong.
you have
got
that
a day.
extra day and not
Right.
the whole weekend, because obviously the homeowner wants to get in over the weekend, right? So
Right.
they can start moving their stuff in.
100%.
So anyway, it was a Friday. Did not, we went there, still, yeah, it was getting boxed up, but this stuff was there. Movers took longer, obviously, because nothing was prepackaged or anything.
Right.
So it ended up waiting till Monday
Sure.
to close. It wasn't fun, because the weekend you have, is this going to happen from your buyers, and then the sellers, are they going to follow through? Are they going to keep doing it because they needed that money to go to wherever they're going next?
Right, and everybody's stressing on both sides.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just
So
like-
it's just
So all you people out there, tips and tricks are close on Wednesday or Thursday.
Yes, for
and
sure.
if you got movers, pre-pack some of that
Yeah,
stuff. Like
yeah.
I've moved a number of times, and you always think it's only going to take this much time,
Yeah.
and then you realize how much stuff you actually have.
And that's the problem. I tell people, here's the deal. I mean, I've moved 3 times in the last 4 years, right?
Right.
And one was cross country to Minnesota, and it's tough. Moving is not easy, and I know the trials and what you have to go through to move, even if you're moving a city away,
Right.
So being prepared, though, and having the right realtor walk you through the process and help you in that with maybe moving companies, all this
Facilitating
is nice. That stuff comes up, though, more than I'd like to admit.
Right. It is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just like, on the mortgage side, we have these automated emails that go out and the do's and don'ts, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And you tell people this, but it's naturally,
Yeah.
things are going to come up because, I didn't realize this was going to affect
Yeah.
this, or
We-
and it just happens.
And the good story is we got it closed on Monday
Yeah.
morning, and everything went smooth. And I was newer to real estate when that happened,
Yeah.
so it was a good learning experience
Right.
for me, and knowing that, hey, when I have sellers, I need to make sure that I'm on that, because it doesn't look good even if you're not representing the buyer, you're the selling agent. It doesn't look good on you either.
Right.
But yeah, so going through trials and errors of that.
But again, it makes, we all in this business, one side or the other, we have to go through that stage, right? And now it makes you better, and it differentiates a lot of them. A lot of people,
Yeah.
if they can't handle it in the beginning,
Yeah.
and they just don't know how to handle it, then maybe it's not the right time or maybe it's not the right career. But,
Yeah. And just to elaborate on that, when that happened, then just recently I had a sell, and my seller was kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
I said, where are we at? And so I was on the seller,
Right.
my client. I was on her, making sure I'm staying on top, contacting her
Right.
daily, because I was worried that same thing might happen. And ultimately, we got the movers. They had to come out twice, because I told her to do it the day before, have the movers come out. Well, guess what? The movers couldn't get it all
All right.
that day. So they came back out that next morning. We're set to close at 11 to get the rest of the stuff. And I went to the property. I made sure it was broom swept afterwards, cleaned up the best
Right.
it could be, but there was still left
Putting
behind.
your own sweat equity
Yeah,
into
I know,
it, right?
and it was, but I wanted it for the sellers or the buying side too. I wanted to be right for them as well,
Right.
And
Right.
then I was there for my seller to get her to that, because I didn't want, it would have affected, their lives too, because they
Right.
were counting on that money that they were going to get for sale.
Sure.
So I wanted it to close on time for all the parties
Right.
involved, and that's why sometimes you get your hands dirty, and you have to be willing to go in there and help out.
And that's what a top agent will do, right? I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, you have to do that. So I ask time to time. I ask my guests to bring in a prop or something, or what is your why? And I think that's what you got today.
I've been drinking out of it all day.
Yeah, look at
you
that.
know, I need an updated one though. So, and this actually is not my mug. This is my wife's mug.
Okay.
So it just has 4 bears on there. One being the big one, which is Mom. Gia, she's the best mom ever. She keeps our family together. She's an organizer with all the kids' activities. We have 3 kids, so we're going around like crazy. So the update, why I'm saying it's not updated is because it has my dog Maya on here. But my oldest, Reese, and then my middle child, Sloan, who just had a birthday yesterday. She turned 4. And then I have Audrey, my youngest, who will be turning 2 shortly. And Maya is my dog, Black Lab, that she's been around since my first child was born.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So girl dad.
Yes, I am a girl dad and love every second of it.
Awesome. Well, great for you. I love hearing that, man. I mean, it means a lot. Shows the empathy that you have for buyers, sellers, but I mean what you have for your family and that's your why. And that's great. Also, I wanted to give you something quick too. I decided to start doing
man.
this now. Since you're a golfer, I wore my golf
look
shirt.
at this.
I got some Titleist
How'd you know
Pro
I like
V.
the Pro Vs?
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's
it's a
awesome.
number 1 golf ball. So,
Oh, man, you
so
rock.
I appreciate that and so forth.
Thank you.
Anybody that is out there is listening to this, watching this, make sure to like and subscribe first and foremost. But you'll be able to get Derek's contact information. You want to throw out your phone number at all?
Yeah, 612-223-2527.
Fantastic. And we'll have some on our social media page. We'll have links and so forth, and you'll be able to share this as well. So
thank you.
I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Brandon.
And I look forward to the next couple of years and beyond in business.
I'm honored. Let's do it again.
All right.
Let's play some golf.
Yes, we definitely need to play some golf.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.